bless upon yourself, thanks for rolling by, thanks for stopping by, and the people rolling, coming, you understand my reason and talk about reggae football, because I would need your opinion and some of the topics I will touch as well, but for the new ones in that just rolling in, this is Nicardo Media House. This is the morning insider, the Monday to Friday show where you get daily content every morning, 8 a.m. Try to do it. I try to be consistent, 8 a.m. every morning from Monday to Friday. But you know the shape sometimes, been slacking, sometimes stuff happen. Just like, last week, look, it's been a rough week, last week, this week, when the younger one is not feeling well, when the partner is not feeling well, you have to go in full charge, you have to drop everything, even, call out from work at times, just to make sure that, look, the family could take care of, and you need to take care of everything around the house and make sure that what errands need to be done, make sure that everything is done, you understand? So that is what I've been doing, when I was missing last week and yesterday. Now I'm back, hopefully, nothing happened major, behind the scene where I have to go missing. I hate not to do a video. When I miss a day or 2 or 3 or 4, my emotion inside, it's just go wild. I love to do video, I live to do video, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what keeps me, motivate, to know that, look, the reggae boy fans, them need content out there, you understand? Just need something to listen, different ideas of different things popping out, on YouTube, and I want to bring that to you guys, you understand, which I usually do. Continue to do, being consistent, probably to say the last 7-8 months with this morning insider. So bless up to the fans them as usual, usually check in, make sure that everything is good, drop them, their opinion, the analysis on what I'm talking about in the video, drop their little input, around different topics, and then you have some people coming in and critique and, analyze and make their criticism, welcome everybody, as long as it's not disrespectful. But today I'm going to talk about a former player. I think he deserves a shout. He deserves a shout, especially when been following him, getting the updates, week after week, checking in on his club. Darren Moore, a former player who is coaching now in League 2. I'm going to touch on that as well. Got promoted with Port Vale. Leon Bailey, social media is missing. What's going on with Leon Bailey. Trivante Stewart scored a brace on Sunday. I did want to talk about that as yesterday as well. There's something out there that I saw with Bobby Reid. Who's to blame for Bobby Reid muscle injury, hamstring injury that he picked up at the Molineux versus Wolves. And also Kaheim Dixon scored a brace yesterday. His season is coming to an end. And the time doing this video, no video has yet released with that brace that Kaheim Dixon scored, but I'm just going to say a little stuff around Kaheim Dixon as well. And that's where I'm going to talk. That's everything right there, people. So after this, I will jump into it and kick it off with the former player, which is a current coach now, Darren Moore. This one, Darren Moore. I remember, Darren Moore, got that interim job at West Brom when they got relegated. I don't remember who it was, if it was Big Sam, Sam Allardyce, the team got relegated, and, he got the interim job. He done really well, but they got rid of him. He done such a very good job at Sheffield, got them promoted from League 1 to Championship. He's the reason why Sheffield is in Championship at this moment. Last year in February 2024, he signed a 5.5-year deal with Port Vale. The team was in League 1 football. They played League 1 football at the time. And to him to get a 5.5-year deal, it's massive. That's a massive deal. That shows that they commit. They're setting a project. The long-term project for Darren Moore. To help the team to grow. You don't really see that. In the lower division in England below the Championship, you don't really see teams go on to sign managers and give them 5.5-year deal. So he got the 5.5-year deal. From February 13 when his first match when he played Cheltenham, until the end of that campaign 2023-2024, he go on to manage the team, and he have managed 17 games. When he got appointed, the team was 21st in the table, and 17 games, you know, he managed in that last half of the campaign, and guess what? He lost 11 games, draw 4 and only won 2 times. Yeah, he only won 2 times. So, you know, so now he helped the team. Now, you know, the team played 45 games. You know, the team got promoted, you know, from League 2 to League 1. So he brought back the team where they belong and where, you know, where he got appointed. And, you know, it's a massive job that he have done. You know, 22 league game win this season. You know, he drew 14 of that, you know, 14 league games he drew out of the 45 games, and also he lost 9, and now he's on 80 points. You know, he's second in League 2, you know, going into that last game, you know, can win the League 2, you know, league, and, you know, that's a title right there. But it's a very good job, you know. Big up to Darren Moore, and, you know, it's been a very good ride, and it's glad to see, you know, not just our former reggae boy player, you know, now he's one of those heritage player that came in the last minute and all of that, but you still respect him. He's a reggae boy player, but yeah, he's done a massive job, you know, for in that down in that division. Not much black managers get opportunities and stuff like that, you know. So big up to Darren Moore, and this is what the clip that Darren Moore have to say, you know, and his reign of going up back to League 1.
Excited and delighted and just really pleased for us all, Dan, at the connected at football club to secure promotion today in the manner that we did was outstanding. I was so proud of the players to put in a performance like that here. It's been a difficult place for teams to come, and the way we went about our work today was outstanding. And of course for the travelling fans was fantastic to perform the manner that we did and score the 2 goals that we did in front of them was fantastic. So all round a fantastic day for the supporters, all the supporters that sort of congregated back at Vale Park, up in the Valiant's Lounge and Robbie's as well. Fantastic, really. The commitment levels that you've shown us this season has been outstanding, and I'm so pleased that we've gained promotion today. Still got another game to go, but just the fact of that we're promoted back into League 1 is fantastic, because that's what we set out to do right from the word go in pre-season.
You know, but moving on from Darren Moore, you know, this is what I have to say now. You know, I don't know. I think it was Sunday. I was looking for something, and I was on the gram, and I realized that Leon Bailey social media page wasn't popping up. I was like, I wasn't looking at it like as if it was something that it was okay, but thinking about it on Monday, and I was like, I'm just hoping that, you know, I know he got some criticism, some harsh criticism. I think the fans, you know, they talk about Leon Bailey. You know, some fans have said some few harsh words on social media as well. I think his Twitter page is still up there and stuff like that, but they have said some harsh things both on Instagram, both on Twitter. I don't know. You know, I think his Twitter page is there, as I said the last time I saw it. I think it was Monday night, yeah, last time I checked, so I guess it's still up there. But he came under some harsh criticism. You know, a couple of villain fans, you know, came out and, you know, said, look, he is one of the reason why Asensio, Marcus Rashford and Malan is at the club at this moment. He worked his socks off. He helped the club, you know, to strive. He helped the club grow last season to get them into the Champions League. And then you have some set of fans that they don't remember what Leon Bailey did last season, you know. So fans have mixed, you know, feelings about what is going on, but with him missing, you know, on the gram, his page is not on the gram, it deactivated. When I went on Google and I checked, you know, it said someone that reported that Leon Bailey page have deactivated on April the 26th, you know. So I'm just concerned that I'm just hopefully, and it's nothing seriously that the baller is really going through at this moment, you know. So I'm chin up for Leon Bailey, you know. Hopefully it's nothing serious where his mental space or anything like that, you know. We know he talk about, you know, he has family issues that going through stuff like that in his days, you know. That's why he's investing so heavily, you know, on mental health in Kingston, Jamaica, with the Bellevue Hospital and all of that. So hopefully it's nothing serious around Leon Bailey where it's a major concern. You know, it doesn't matter if a player is not performing, you know, very well on the pitch. What is happening off the pitch is as important just on the pitch as well, you know. So maybe, you know, stuff is just happening where, you know, as fans out here we don't know. So as I said, chin up. Hopefully everything, it's nothing major. It's not an alarm bell ringing off that something major is happening in the space outside of football for Leon Bailey. So that's all I have to say with Leon. But I'm going to talk about Trivante Stewart. Trivante Stewart, Trivante Stewart scored a brace, and I think he's in his double figures at this moment. He's 25 years old. I think that's his 12th goal of the season, and I think this is his second team this is playing for. I think he played for Rodiniki, something like that, in the Serbian Super League, top division, top league in Europe. I know much people don't really, probably give the Serbian league a lot of respect, but there's a lot of talent it's coming from that league going over to into mainland in Europe as well. But this is what I have to say. I remember when that 2023 Gold Cup, when Whisper got called up, when Whisper scored in the Gold Cup to be the youngest player to score in the Gold Cup. They think it was on Trinidad. Before all of that happened, I remember I think I didn't watch Sportsmax that day, but I saw the clip, and I remember, and I went back and searched for the clip, and I did found it. And now I'm talking about Trivante, now I'm talking about Whisper. I think during that time people were talking about Whisper not playing competitive football, first team football, no professional setup. Why he got picked? Why the two top goal scorers in the Premier League at the time, who I think were relatively early 20s at the time, Colin Anderson and Trivante Stewart. Colin Anderson was the leading goal scorer 2023, the end of 2023, that's the 22-23 season. Scored 18, Trivante scored 15. One for Mount Pleasant, one for Cavalier, the two hottest strikers in the league. I think Fabian Reid scored a little bit more goal than Trivante, but those two strikers were the hottest young strikers in the JPL. And let me just say this now. Andrew Price did say this about Whisper and Trivante Stewart. Let me know if you guys agree with Andrew Price of what he said a couple of years ago. Why Trivante Stewart never can get picked in the reggaeboyz squad in the Gold Cup.
Players that you suspect should have been in this 23-man squad?
Well, I believe we have two proven goal scorers in the Premier League after a 9-month season. Tvante Stewart and Colin Anderson. I believe they are both banging at the door, and I believe that if Dejan Richards could have been included in the team, I believe that one of them should have been included in the team. They are actually playing day in, day out during the Jamaica Premier League season. Dejan is not as active. He's not playing professionally anywhere or semi-professionally anywhere. So I would have given one of them the nod over him. But as usual, the coach is looking at long-term vision, and he believes that Dejan, even as a youngster, should be in the squad, and he has decided to carry him. But I think one of those two players should feel very much undone that they were not included in the World Cup squad.
Andrew Price did say that, and he did at a point. I think one of those players could have well get a call up, but with Trivante Stewart, a lot of people been talking about, look, we need a striker, no Mikel Antonio, because of the injury, Boza farm deep really bad, look, Warner Brun came in, he took his opportunity, he scored a goal, he looked really well, he looked sharp, he looked bright, and also, God, I did have to talk about Warner Brun as well. We're going to talk about him as well right after this, and he took his opportunity. Trivante Stewart, look, from Mount Pleasant, to Salernitana, got some minutes, versus Juventus, got some minutes in the Seria A. So he learned, that was a big learning curve for him. He didn't look the best, got double sub, versus Canada, under coach Alf Grimson. So he didn't have the, as much as he was going through that little, that little trauma of not getting any minutes for Salernitana in the Italian Serie A, got double sub on international duty. Then in 2023 in November, things wasn't really going well for Trivante, and got a loan deal. I think he got a loan deal to Serbia. No, he's a permanent deal. So the team that he went out and went on loan from, from Salernitana he's not at that club, he make a different move permanently in the same league. No, he scored 12 goals in the Serbian Super League. And I'm just saying, he might not be the most, aesthetic player, that the most skillful, but him have something about him. He have something about him, and I don't know. I'm not saying, look, he should get picked in the next window coming up, but I think for selection, he should be one that, people should be talking about, like, maybe he deserve another shot, but when I look at his highlights, when I look at the goals that he have been scoring, he seems like he's an improved player. I know, back then he used to be raw, but now playing under, more professional setup, getting games, minutes after minutes, playing week and week out. So that would have do a lot for him as well. Look, people talking about, the Keenan Davis, people talking about the Tyrese Campbell, but look, those players, we don't know what is happening behind the scene. Those players yet to prove to us that they have a passport. Nothing is on file, nothing is on record, nothing is 100% correct as yet that those players have a Jamaican passport. And I must say, look, with a player like a homegrown player, look, 2 seasons ago, those 2 players, Colin Anderson and Trivante Stewart, were very good in the JPL. But if you look at it now, one, their career went down the hill where I don't even know where Colin Anderson. I know the last time he was in Iraq, no. Tvante Stewart, went through his experience, went through his little spell where he wasn't getting any game in Italy in the Seria A, now in the Serbian Super League. And let me say this, he might on the move coming this summer. The reason why I said that, when I do the research, when I do the checks, the players that the top goal scorers that in the top 10 of the Serbian Super League, at least 4 of them in the last 4 seasons went on to a different team, a more upgrade league, in Europe. It might not be in mainland, not all of them go in mainland, but you have a few of them got opportunities in the French league, in the Dutch league, I think in Sweden, in Scandinavia as well. So this summer, Trivante Stewart, I know he have like a year left back on his contract. He might be on the move, because when I look at the history of some of the top goal scorers and some of the top performers who is under the age of 26 at that time, they get a move, in the past, and move on from Serbian Super League to a better league. So to show you that, eyes are on the Super League. So it's a very good league. And look, any other country around Central America, Caribbean, I just use Central America, have the selection or the opportunity, the availability of Trivante Stewart could have picked a player like that. Not saying he's the best, but he's someone that can work with, someone that can add an extra, strength, to the bench. Someone that give a different presence up front. He's a different dynamic. He's strong, he's powerful, he know to get running. His finishing look much sharper now. He's a boots. He will help any other national team in this region, in the Central American area, any one of those teams that we will play, in the future in the World Cup qualifier. So I think he deserves a shot, and I would love to hear you guys what you guys think about, just the possibility of, select, Trivante Stewart going forward. I think he should be somewhere around the pool of players that we should be looking at, because the Serbian Super League is a top league in Europe. So that's all I have to say about Trivante. As I said, Trivante and Colin was 2 of the most hottest strikers, just like Warner Brown. Warner Brown got his opportunity. Yes, things weren't the best for Trivante when he got his opportunity. He didn't took his opportunity in the national team, but I think everyone do deserve a second chance. And for the age of 25, playing in the top flight league in Serbia, playing against the top teams in Serbia, playing against some top division defenders in Serbia, he scored 12 goals. He deserves a looking. He deserves at least some talking that this is a player need another opportunity in the senior team going forward. You understand? Especially with the downgrade of strikers, the downgrade of the pool of players that we have can play as a number 9, a target man, physicality, good finishing. He deserves a shot. But Warner Brown, Warner Brun big interview that he did, on the JFF page. It's still up there. I think it's still in the mood of who, are members. So if you are not members, you cannot go in and watch that video. But if you is a member, I guess you probably would have watched that video already, listening to Warner Brun. I think it's a very good interview. I think he's a very, intellect person. I think he come across as someone that understand the game, someone that want to improve on himself, someone that I will say willing to do anything to go to the next step. And for a player who have done it, went to Mexico, as he said, for youth tournaments before he was the age of 15, went to in Rochester in the US, went to Europe, so he went through, all that little journey after the learning curve. No, I think anytime soon that player will be in Europe again, because he's just come across like he's a good lad, he want to improve. And what he have said that really strike me, that he scored just, I think, 2 goals last season, and he was upset with himself. He want to improve on it. And look, he worked hard in training. He do the extras in training, and he made sure that, look, this season, no, and easily he could have broken that record. Yes, I think Rowan Nelson, probably the former Portmore player, I think was the last player, that to score last. And the only player I think scored 30 goals. I think it's Rowan Nelson. I remember if it was Rowan Nelson or Devon Adjus, but I think it's one of them scored the most goal in our JPL season. So easily Warner Brun could have broke that record, but again, he just need to sharpen up on his tool. Just need to take his opportunities, a lot more in games rather than missing opportunity. But he scored some very good goal in the JPL, but a opportunity will come back. But for him, and Simon talking about the Gold Cup, seems like he will get another opportunity in the Gold Cup. I think he deserves another shot. What he's shown us, against St. Vincent, he deserves anything. Yeah, he deserves it. Deserve another, especially the decreasing of values that we have up front as a number 9. You just came across as someone that willing to put the ball in the back of the net. And look, you just have to take your time with Trivante, not Trivante, but take our time with Warner Brun. Is a young lad, from the JPL, but again, must put into perspective, when the opportunity come, he must take it and take his opportunity. Again, this summer will be a massive summer if he managed to crack a nut again and get into that Gold Cup squad for the reggaeboyz going forward. But again, Kaheim Dixon, scored, his team run riot, and you will say a week of Peterborough, U21 team, in the Premier League Development League, played yesterday, scored a Brace team 1-7-2, and I must say, don't really put much on that performance, what he did, yesterday. The team that Peterborough put out there, it was a team of players that on trial and a weaker team, younger lads. The season is going, the season is about to end at this moment. They only have 1 game left back, and that is, they will play home to Coventry as well. So only 1 game left back in the academy for Kaheim Dixon. His team unfortunately cannot make it into the playoff for the Premier League Development League. They went to the quarterfinals of the Premier League Cup. So his season is gradually coming to an end next week, and we will know if he will be available for the Unity Cup. We'd love to see him, for the Unity Cup as well. But one thing, then I'm just trying to figure out if I'm missing anything. I don't think so. Let's see. No, I don't think. Yeah, but this is what I have to say after this, but yeah, Kaheim, don't put much perspective, what he done in that game. It was against a bunch of players that, came, and trial at Peterborough and stuff like that. But the season is coming to an end, it's scrappy time, and this Charlton team that played, it was a much stronger team. Those are the lads that, play week and week out for the U21s. But Bobby Reid, I saw this, and this is where I'm going to end the video. I saw this about Bobby Reid. Who's to blame about Bobby Reid injury? Listen to this, and after this, the video will end. See you guys tomorrow. Bless upon yourself. Thanks for watching Nicardo Media House. Yeah, so right after this, the video will end, and I would love to know what you guys think. Who's to blame? Remember, we saw something like Remember we saw what happened in Canada, in the Nations League with Alphonso Davies and the Canadian team and the Bayern Munich staff about overplaying him, playing him when his body was, in the red. His body was at risk of getting injured. Boom, ACL out for a couple of months. The same thing happened to Bobby Reid. So who's to blame? Listen to this, and the video will end. Bless up.
Bobby Cordova Reid was injured today playing for Leicester. He was high risk because his physical cycle was in a trough, and this made his body tired and weak. I was a guest on the World Class Stamp podcast, and I talk about protecting players during training sessions and on match days. These are 2 clips of Jamie Redknapp and Terry Venables. All is revealed on the podcast. Biorhythms are never-ending cycles that start off from the moment we are born until we die. In the podcast, I talk about being given a blind test of 150 non-contact football injuries by the Football Association, and there was a 70% hit rate. These are Bobby's high-risk days coming up. Medical staff need to protect him on these days for a faster recovery. Knowing when a player's high-risk days are coming up is going to be the key to reducing injuries in the future. Don't forget to listen to the podcast, because it will help reduce injuries in every sport.